Hi, this is Miss Forte, and today I want to talk to you about forward resonance. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I don't want to sing through my nose, and I don't want to sound nasally. And I understand, because that's not really what I want to sound like either. But I want to be able to give you control over your voice so that you can, if you need to sound nasally, you know how to do it. If you want to add a little bit more twang, you know how to do it. If you're going to sing, I'm a little bit country, you gotta be there. Or also to show you the things that you can do with that forward resonance if you know how to balance it out. Because our resonating capacities, our resonating cavities are our EQ. Our sound is made in our throat, but then what we do with it up here in this area is what creates the type of sound. So if you're stuck with this super far back lounge singer sound, which is actually my natural voice a little bit more, then you need to be able to bring it forward a little bit. If you want to sound higher, if you want to be able to sing higher, all of these things you need to be able to tweak. I need to be able to open, like we talked about last week, but I also need to be able to bring it forward or I'll get just a swallowed kind of a sound. So I don't always want to have this ooh way in the back kind of sound. Sometimes I need, whether it's for my style or for the pitch that I'm hitting or for things like that, I need to be able to bring it a little bit forward. So we want to talk about three main things that this forward resonance can help us do, as well as giving you some tips and tricks on just how to find it. How do I experiment and find that? So the first thing we need to be able to do is actually find that forward resonance. It's not going to help us if we can't do it. So I want to be able to find that forward resonance by just using a hum. It's one of the easiest ways to do that. So just hum, and kind of start to see where you feel it. If you need to move it throughout your range, do that. You might even start to feel that buzz move a little bit. So if I hum too low, that I feel just in my mouth. But if I move that up, now I'm at about the bridge of my nose. So I want to kind of find, where do I feel it? How do I feel it? If it's still a little bit too far back, sometimes that hum is a little bit more in the middle. Try pushing your tongue through your mouth and saying N. That tends to be a little bit easier to really get forward. And think about making it as nasally as possible. This is where we don't care how it sounds. We're just trying to find the feeling. It's going to sound awful, and that's okay. That's what practice is for. So really give me a nasty. Some of the other ones I like to use are like a dog whine. Right? Like a puppy whine tends to start about right in the middle of my nose for me. Or you can use a cat meow. Meow, meow. One of my other favorites, Monsters Incorporated. I'm always watching you, Wazowski. Always watching. Or if you're, my age, you can go back to Fran Drescher or Janice from Friends. Chandler Bing. Just anything to really find that kind of forward. Now, with these things, what we're doing is totally not balancing it out, right? The back of my throat is completely flat. And that's why you get this sound, because everything in here is super closed. And I'm just putting all of that pressure in the front. But again, that's mainly because I just want you to start to find it. Where is it and how do I turn it on? Then we can start balancing it out. Sometimes I may need to back it up. Sometimes I may need to push it a little bit forward, but I need to balance it out by opening a little bit more. So all of those things can only happen if I know how to find it. So just practice, just experiment. Figure out which one of those works for you. Where do you feel it? understanding, of course, that we're still making sound in our throat. But this is about where we feel those vibrations. Where does that resonate in your face and head and body sometimes? So just start to experiment and play around with it. Now, what do we actually do with that? Why do I care about being able to do that? The first thing that can really help us do is give us a little bit of volume and extra power and less breathiness, especially up in our head voice. So if you want to think about you always having this light and airy kind of sound, if you're anything like me, I went from a super strong chest voice into this like completely nothing head voice and had just a little super tiny and really, really breathy. So in order to help clean up a little bit of that air, I want to kind of focus it a little bit more into that. So start with just humming up there. You can already tell that it cleans up a lot of that air just by humming. And I'm just kind of focusing that sound right in there. Then if I open it, I would again start with an N because it helps me to kind of get there. And I can really even feel that even more. Then send the sound into that spot. Some of this is really just about how you think about where you're putting the sound. I don't know how else to say it, but just think about it. And it all of a sudden gets louder without me really having to do anything. I'm not shooting more air. I'm not doing anything else. I'm just kind of making it more forward. Now I can make it more forward and give it a nasally sound. That's not what I want to sound like, but that's what it feels like I'm doing. What I'm actually doing is that far forward and then opening. So go back to your owl sound. Woo! And do it there. Woo! But you can hear that's like super far back. It's not really going anywhere. I want to really think about sending that sound out to my audience. So I want to create that space and then shoot it out the front. And finding that forward resonance. One of the biggest differences between that nasal sound and real true forward resonance is if I'm actually sending air through my nose. So if you hum, you can feel that there's airs coming through your nose. So I can go, nope, that didn't even do it. I can't even do it. I've tried so hard not to. But that's where you really get this twang. I really actually feel like the more nasal issue is because you flatten in the back. It's when you're going, and there's nothing happening back here. It's all coming straight out my nose on a flat plane. If I can just give this a little bit more space, I can still even keep it a little bit that nasally, but it's more open. So you really do have to kind of practice both of those things and then find the balance that works best for you and for the sound that you want to make. Different songs and different styles are going to require a different sound. Sometimes I want to be that nasally. If I'm singing popular, you're gonna be popular, I don't want to do it that nasally. Sometimes I don't. Just depends on what I want to do. So you want to kind of think about that. The other thing that it's going to help you do is to really be able to bring up that chest voice for you belters. So let's talk about this for a second, belters. We all think that being able to just belt everything super loud in our chest voice is going to be the best thing in the world, right? Well, I don't know about you, but I sure did. And it really took its toll on my throat because I'm constantly trying to, and that's like totally not going to work, and I'm just going to tighten it, or sometimes it even like just goes away, because I've just strangled myself, basically. So, if that ever happens to you, note that you need to relax and open and try using a little bit more forwardness. Right there, everything is coming from the back. I want to really think about keeping this nice and open and just send it from the front. So, first thing I'm going to do is go super nasal with that. Kind of feel that. Right? Of course, I don't actually want to sound like that. Pretty much can't think of a song where I do want to sound like that. But I want to find that feel. Then I want to think about how do I now open that a little bit more. Keep that forward resonance, but just open a little bit more. I always kind of say you can go as forward as you want, as long as you balance it out with a bigger space. So I want to go nay. That was actually even easier to hit. Then if I want to make it even more pretty, I'm going to turn it into an O. It's just about the space. No. But you can hear that I'm really making that top O a little bit more of like a French O. So you want to think about, one of my faves is the Le Poissons guy from from The Little Mermaid. I want to think about that. La Poisson, give yourself that. And you can even kind of find, sometimes if it helps, you can plug your nose a little bit. Yeah, see, that makes it super nasally. I want that. But if I do it there, then I can hit that, give it a lot more power, and I'm saving my voice, not even having to use as much air, and it really kind of helps. Lastly, and we won't talk about this too much, but I want you to be able to practice it, is this can really help you bridge the gap between your chest and head register. So if you just start working, you may feel this big kind of thing happen, right? We get this and then like really flips. This is what I call you got to do some WD-40 and just work that creepy door out, right? So the more it squeaks, the more I just because what this does is make our vocal folds actually make that change and come back. And the more they can do it, it kind of naturally just smooths them out. First of all, it makes me stop thinking about it too much and trying to control them. I'm thinking about trying to find this forward resonance thing. What the heck's she talking about? And do that. So it lets my vocal folds make the change that they need to make without my interference. And then it also can just really help make that sound a little bit similar because the placement is the same. So instead of my placement going all over the place, it helps keep me in the same spot. And it really just helps to kind of do that. So the more that you can do that, find that forward resonance, take it all the way through your range and start to work just smoothing that out a little bit. Hopefully that helps.